And politicians getting caught grabbing ass. Says she's driving it home with Patty Vasquez.
Yes, that iconic song that tells you that Patty Vasquez is going to be doing her show. But today it's Paul Chivari and Ken Mejia Beal doing the show for Patty Vasquez.
Yay.
How's it going, Ken?
It's going great. I feel like I haven't seen you in a long time.
It's usually in passing, too, when we see each other. So it's nice that, like, Patty created the opportunity for the two of us to do a show together.
Yes.
So that's always nice.
As soon as she told me you were doing it, I was like, I'm in.
And we've done this before, right? The two of us have been paired up on a show together.
Never on air together.
Never on air together, okay.
You're usually the guy that says, Ken, wrap it up.
That's right. You're the one that's the host. And then, so it's official that I get to talk today.
Yes,
so,
and I'm here for it.
We've got a jam-packed show today.
It's exciting.
And we'll get to who the guests are and what we're going to be talking about. But I think the top story that kind of overrided the whole day, we were planning this out for the last few days, and then it was right before I was supposed to, start with Turi Ryder. I get the news that Dolly Parton passed away.
Very, very sad.
Age 80 years old.
Yeah.
I was mildly aware that she was in poor health.
Yes.
I think I recall maybe a month or two ago, she kind of released a statement saying, and then I didn't realize that just last Friday, she released a statement saying that she was in poor health. So this was a bit of a surprise to me, regardless of that. And she is such an icon. I would be a liar if I said that I followed her music and knew all of her songs, but what I did know about her
would
was...
not be.
See, okay, and that's the thing. Is I didn't want to sit here and be, oh, she was such a great musician, and this and that, because I know this stuff. I've heard her stuff, but I know that there are way bigger fans than I am, and you're wearing your Dolly Parton shirt today.
I'm a fan. I have the Funko Pops. I love the music. I think... So I'm big into songwriting. So just the musicianship itself. There was something about the way she wrote a song that was very simple and something that was also very unapologetically feminine. And by that, I mean, especially in the 80s, there were a lot of women singers that were attempting to be more dominant, so to speak. But Dolly was kind of like, I'm a lady. I like wearing makeup. I like getting dressed up. I like wearing fake nails. I like having big hair. I like being who I am, and you should too. And as a gay guy especially, that always resonated with me. Like, she's who she is. Like it, love it. But her activism, the things that she did for especially black musicians, she donated every dollar from I Will Always Love You, the remake from Whitney Houston, to black communities. Huge. She also did a lot for the COVID community. She helped to fund the vaccine. She helped a lot of people read. She was an activist without being an activist. And she was an activist that didn't take herself too seriously. So I'm a huge Dolly Parton fan. I'm a fan of anyone who doesn't take themselves so seriously.
But she used her platform for good.
Yes.
It wasn't like you were saying, like she was an activist without being an activist.
Correct.
It wasn't. It never seemed like she was out there trying to present herself as if she was this person.
Correct.
It was just out of the kindness of her heart. She was always doing things, and I think that really shined through, and everybody really saw that about her.
Yes.
So tragic loss today that Dolly Parton passes at age 80. So I wanted to make sure that we talked about that today because we have so much going on that I don't know how much time we're going to have to talk about anything.
We won't, Paul, because you set it up
subjects.
that way. You're like, I don't want to talk to Ken.
Well, it's
I'm
hilarious
joking.
how. Okay, so I was figuring we'll do a guest at 5:30, we'll do a guest at 6, and a guest at 6:30. We'll leave it at that. But that things can run away really quickly when you have 2 hours.
Yeah.
So, and then as the day got going, producer Andy Miles asked me. He's like, "Hey, did you know that the Daily Herald journalists announced a formation of a guild in the wake of all of the layoffs and the work stoppages that they've had over the years?"
And I'm actually surprised by that.
And I was surprised by it too. That was news to me. But then he said, I could get somebody for you. So coming up soon, we're going to be talking to Kevin Schmidt, who's the associate sports editor of the Daily Herald and a columnist, and he is a member of that Daily Herald News Guild organizing committee. He was actually named in this press release, which we'll get to in the next segment here. Now, of course, it's me whenever I fill in these select times that I've had over the years to do this. I I am a resident of the 16th Congressional District of Illinois, which is that one of those Republican gerrymandered districts.
Who is your...
Darren LaHood is my... Yeah, so in 2022, my neighbor ran against him. In 2024, he ran unopposed. And in 2026, LaHood is going to be running against Paul Nolly, who's already won the Democratic nomination.
Good.
He's going to join us at the bottom of the hour today.
Perfect.
That's the one person from the district I haven't talked to out of all the Dems. Leading up to it over the years, I had like all the guys that bowed out of the race early before they bowed out. I never got a chance to talk to Paul because he'd been on with Patty, so I figured that
today is changing.
Today is the day.
Today is the day.
And then you got Representative Diane Blair Sherlock.
Yes.
And you were telling me about the Geekapalooza.
Geekapalooza is an event that she throws. And fun fact, I am actually the person that swore Diane, Representative Blair Sherlock into office.
Very cool.
So we have a special relationship. She's an amazing person.
I hope you tell that story when she's on with us.
She'll probably tell it.
Okay. 6 o'clock, we intend to talk to Representative Blair Sherlock. And then at the bottom of the hour, in preparing for today, I discovered that there was a runoff election in the state of Oklahoma. I know that's a little bit outside of our Heartland signal coverage region, but I figured Midwest...
With the interwebs, nothing is outside.
Exactly. I figured connect all of us. So I was, like, it's Midwest, it's politics. We got to cover this election. So
let's do it.
I've got Trace Savage, who's the editor-in-chief of Non-Doc, joining us at 6:30. He's going to kind of break down a little bit what these big races are, the race for governor on the GOP side, the state superintendent, Democratic U.S. senator, and then there's a couple of ballot measures, which I'm sure are going to be boring and he's not going to want to talk about, but I think just to touch on, because I think we should be aware of what's going on in each state.
But, the sad thing is about the ballot measures, it's like I want to hear, and I get 30 seconds in, and I'm like, I don't want to. Just tell me what to vote for. I don't.
Well, and some of it too. It's like one is kind of, they've never codified their voter ID law, so one measure is to try and put it into the state constitution.
Well, see, that's a big one.
That is a big one, but at the same time, there already is a voter ID law, so it's just more or less trying to codify it as in their constitution.
Got it.
So that's a big one. The other one, he tried to explain it to me, and he's like, it's probably not going to pass. But he was talking about
that's probably
sort of a combat for rural and urban areas in the way taxes are compensated. So basically, when Oklahoma attracts like big businesses and the local county assesses their taxes, it's basically up to that local county. But whatever the state would, whatever burden the state would have on that tax cut. They want to try and make it, I think, so that the entire state would be able to have a little bit of say into what that assessment is. That's as far as I know. I could be a little off on that, but we're hoping that Trace might be able to at least explain that a little bit better than I could for you. Because even though it's not, we're not in Oklahoma, I feel like with them having the runoff election today, that was worth talking about.
If I could change my name to anything, it would be Trace Savage.
Trace Savage?
Yeah, like that's a great name.
That is.
I want it. I'm going to let them know. I want that name. I'm going to buy it.
So that's who we have on the show today. And of course, if you guys want to chime in today, it's 773-763-9278, 773-763-WCPT. Feel free to call us. Feel free to text us, and we'll be sure to get on that and read what you have to say and hear what you have to say in regards to that. In addition to that, we are on WCPT 820 right now, Heartland Signal. Later tonight, we are on a rebroadcast of KKNW Seattle 1150 AM, and of course, a rebroadcast on AM 950 Progressive Minnesota. So for those of you listening, in those times, thank you for listening to us and for listening to some Illinois and Oklahoma politics today.
That's right.
There was some of the, just kind of browsing some of the top stories that were going on. Of course, the trade war continuing between Canada and U.S., hiking up the tariffs on each other's countries, and Trump's handling of our trade partner to the north, and how Canada's responding to that. I don't know if we're going to get to today, but the Supreme Court approving Trump's executive order regarding mail-in balloting and the timing of that and how that could affect the election coming up here. The CIA director takes a surprise trip to Moscow. That was interesting. Of course, that Daily Herald News Guild. And if we get to it, because we're running out of time in this segment, just the whole idea of the robot Olympics. Have you been seeing this in China?
This sounds like a future I don't want to be part of.
You haven't seen
I
these
haven't
videos?
seen it, and I don't want to.
Oh my gosh! And it's too bad that this is a radio show because the visuals are creepy and funny at the same time.
I think you're probably finding it. I think it's probably creepy. I'm going to Google it, but it's probably very creepy.
There's some humor to it, but overall it's creepy. We already have a robot that's broken Usain Bolt's 100-meter dash record.
Of course, yeah.
But of course, when they run this, the funny part is they have to set up like a giant wall cushioning so that they run right into the wall, and some of them just bounce off the wall and then like fold in half and break or spark, and that's the funny part. But the terrifying part is that we now have robots that can outrun us.
Yeah.
So there's
that is what the government needs.
Yeah.
It all scares me.
I mean, especially in a day and age with AI.
Yes.
And, surveillance
Between
cameras.
AI, the flocking, the surveillance cameras with, Cheeto and Chief in charge, I'm terrified. It's all bad. It's all bad.
So if we get some time, I would like to talk about that in a little bit. But we got to go ahead and take our first break. When we come back, we should be talking with Kevin Schmidt of the Daily Herald about the new Daily Herald News Guild that they just organized. So stay tuned. It's Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, but today you got Paul Chivari and Ken Mejia Beal.
Out Chicago.
Right now, Pete Buttigieg is leading the field of potential Democratic presidential contenders in 2028. And my wonder, will America elect a gay man as president?
You're looking at somebody who has waited her whole life for a woman to be elected president.
100%.
And this country has let me down.
Catch Out Chicago every Sunday, 11 to 1 on WCPT 820.
Suicide touches too many lives. In the U.S., it's the 11th leading cause of death, and here in Illinois, it's the 3rd leading cause for people ages 15 to 34. But together, we can bring hope. Join us at the Out of the Darkness Chicagoland Walk, presented by Happiness Project, to honor those we've lost and to show anyone struggling they are not alone. This year's walk will take place on Saturday, October 3rd at Montrose Harbor. When you register or donate, you're helping the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention fund life-saving research, education, and support for families affected by suicide. Support a cause that truly saves lives. Walk with us on October 3rd at the Out of the Darkness Chicagoland Walk and show your commitment to mental health and suicide prevention. Register or donate today at chicagowalk.org. That's chicagowalk.org.
Child abuse is not a bad parent problem.
And the causes may be different than you think.
You see, paid family leave
that prevents child abuse.
And high-quality, affordable childcare
prevents child abuse, too.
Prevent Child Abuse America promotes policies, programs, and resources that build healthier communities and a stronger economy.
Because when we keep families out of crisis,
we prevent child abuse
from ever happening.
Go to kidssave.org to learn more.
Let's solve child abuse before it ever happens.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or Pete.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez.
Back here on Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, we got Paul Chivari and Ken Mejia Beal filling in today for Patty. As far as I know, she's back tomorrow, but no one...
No, she's not.
She's not? Okay, see, I was wrong. As far as I know, no one tells me. You see, you got the
Wednesday,
you got the info. Oh, that's right. It's Elliot Serrano, and you're also co-hosting.
And I will be back because I'm the Hump Day honey, and I'm here every Hump Day.
When is Patty back?
Patty will be back Wednesday.
Wednesday. Okay. Well, wait a minute. Tomorrow's Wednesday. Thursday, you mean?
No.
Wednesday
Let
next
me
week.
start over. Wednesday of next week.
So
what happened?
She was going out of town? Or
today I'm with Paul.
Okay.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you will have Elliot Serrano and the Hump Day honey. Monday, you will have...
Monday's Labor Day, so it's...
Well, Dwayne Kennedy will be in.
Okay, so we will be live on Monday.
Yes, we will be live.
Sorry, Monday's the 31st.
Yeah,
Never mind.
yeah. Stop it, Paul.
No, I know.
You're messing me up. Dwayne Kennedy will be in on Monday. You and I will be back on Tuesday.
I know that.
And then Paul, Patty will be back.
Patty's back on Wednesday.
On Wednesday.
Okay. If that wasn't confusing enough.
My God.
That's it. But yesterday, it was announced that the Daily Herald formed, or at least several employees of the Daily Herald formed a news guild, claiming that in 2007, the Daily Herald conducted layoffs for the first time in its then 135-year history. Over the last 10 years, employees of the newspaper saw their wages reduced by at least 15% and their work week reduced to 36 and a half hours. During that same approximate period, employees experienced 8 rounds of buyouts and or combination buyouts and layoffs, culminating August 10th with the dismissal of 12 Daily Herald employees. Kevin Schmidt is the Daily Herald's associate sports editor and a 29-year employee of Illinois' third largest daily newspaper, and he joins us right now to talk about that newly formed guild. Kevin, thank you so much for joining us today on Driving It Home.
Thank you for having me.
So, I kind of gather that this was kind of a necessity for you guys to be able to represent yourselves, but ultimately, when did the formation of this guild truly start? When was kind of the whisperings of this formation?
It was pretty much when it was clear that the Chicago Tribune and Alden, their parent company, the hedge fund, was going to purchase us. We began to have kind of back channel conversations with the News Guild, and the ball really started rolling there. So while it may look like this is in response to those layoffs earlier this month, it's really been in the works for a couple months.
So I'm gathering then that if there weren't those layoffs then a few weeks ago, that you guys probably would have done that. I mean, did that affect at least the announcement of this yesterday?
No, the announcement was going to be made yesterday regardless. It's just sad that we weren't able to do it with, I think there were 3 union-eligible members that were laid off. So, yeah, that was sad that we couldn't be a bigger group. But, yeah, the announcement was planned for yesterday.
And how is the ownership has taken that from the Daily Herald? Is it the Daily Herald Media Group or Paddock Publications that currently owns it?
No. Paddock Publications sold the Daily Herald to Alden.
Okay.
And the Tribune. So we're no longer owned by Paddock Publications as of the middle of June. So now Alden and the Chicago Tribune own us, and these layoffs were kind of part of that transition. I guess they, they saw redundancies or something, and decided it was time to let go of 20% of our newsroom.
And so now that you guys are in the Chicago News Guild, local 34071, or at least joined up with that, are there talks right now, at least for new contracts or some sort of new labor agreement with Alden?
No, we're still a ways away from that. We yesterday was we delivered a letter to management that our intention is to form a union. So now we ask them to voluntarily recognize us as a union. If they don't do that, and it looks like they won't, then eventually we'll go to some sort of an election, and we fully expect that our eligible members will vote yes, and we will be certified as a union at that point. And then it's at that point that we would enter negotiations for a contract.
And currently, how many people have joined into the guild so far?
We had 20 eligible members, and all 20 have signed union cards.
And that was pretty easy to get them to join in?
I mean, we had a card signing meeting where we kind of got together, and I think we hit 85% within the first hour, and then just recently we hit 100%. So yeah, we have full backing of all 20 members, all 20 eligible members.
So what with the way that newspapers have kind of had to change in the internet era, and especially now with like AI generated news stories, local, you see kind of like the local scanners for the different counties. How have you guys had to like navigate that? I mean, because I understand on one hand, it's made the newspaper kind of harder to survive in this day and age of news dissemination, but how have you guys had to adjust in the wake of the digital era?
Well, that's kind of a big question. I think it all comes down to storytelling, and that's where I think of our 20 members of our union, I think the person with the least amount of experience has been with us 20 years.
That's amazing.
So we know these communities that we're covering. We know the stories that need to be told. We know how to tell them. And I think it really comes down to that, whether we may not have the resources to cover every breaking news story on scanners or whatever, and people may beat us to stuff. But in terms of the pure storytelling of what's going on in the Chicago suburbs, we're still the face of the suburbs. We're the ones that people turn to for that.
So, as the face of the suburbs, what can your readers do to help out and to make sure that this is all successful and fruitful for everyone?
Well, we want management to know that the public supports us and wants us to have a seat at the table when it comes to future decisions that affect not only our jobs, but the coverage that Daily Herald readers have come to expect. So there's actually a letter of support that people can, it's just an online thing. You fill out your name and I think your address and you hit submit. And that letter gets sent to all the Tribune management and Daily Herald management. And that link can be found on our social media. It can be found on our Facebook page, on our, all over the place. All of our reporters are tweeting it out. And
great.
So yeah, we can be found at DH News Guild on X and Instagram if people want to go to that. And we'd love to have a bunch of people go on there and send those letters.
We're joined by Kevin Schmidt, the associate sports editor of the Daily Herald, in the wake of the formation of the Daily Herald News Guild with the local Chicago News Guild 34071. Before we let you go, Kevin, I know being a sports editor from a paper based in Arlington Heights, the looming dinosaur, the big story that everybody is wanting to hear answers on, of course, is will there be a stadium built in Arlington Heights? While I've got you, any quick sort of 10-second opinions on where that stands?
Well, I was raised in Arlington Heights, and I went to Buffalo Grove High School, so I think that pretty much tells where my heart lies. I want it to be in Arlington Heights. Now, whether that happens, I don't know. I mean, it seems like a pretty day-to-day thing here where, Indiana claims it, then, oh, no, they're talking to Chicago people. Oh, no, they're talking to suburban. Until they announce, I think it's just going to be a mystery. So I wish I could give you insight, but, my roots tell me where I want that stadium. So,
I mean, it seems to make sense to me, just in my opinion, having, you have the highway right there, you have the train line right there, the team already owns the land. It just seems like a no-brainer to get it done. How do the locals feel about there? Some of the people that you've been talking to, citizens of Arlington Heights, about the Bears playing there, do they seem receptive, or do they want them to pack their bags and head over to the other state?
I mean, I think it's a mix. I think people are worried about how it'll impact their tax base and, how many freebies are we going to give the Bears, and is it worth it for, 10 games a year or whatever it would be, and whatever other events. Is traffic going to be, how insane is it going to be on game days? I have a friend who lives up there, by the stadium, and he was hoping to do Airbnb out of his house, and I think that's now off the table. So, it's just there's a lot of things that go into this, and I think, a bunch of the citizens up there, the residents, are probably a little conflicted about it all.
Well, we look forward to your coverage with the paper of that story and all the other local stories that affect the region. And we want to thank you so much for joining us today, and congratulations on the formation of your guild.
Yes, congrats.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to say that, we're the outlier. We're the only Chicago Tribune paper, Beacon News, Naperville Sun, the Pioneer Press. We're the only ones not unionized. So all we're asking is to, have that same right.
Well, we appreciate you coming on today and explaining that to us. And, good luck with the fight going forward. Okay, Kevin?
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. That was Kevin Schmidt from the Daily Herald joining us here to talk about the Daily Herald News Guild. Coming up next, we've got the Democratic nominee from the U.S. Congressional 16th District on the line, Paul Nally, joining us in just a moment. You're listening to Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez with Paul Chivari and Ken Mejia Beal filling in today.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm staff meteorologist Laura Lockwood. Lows level off around 58 overnight under mainly clear skies. South winds around 5 miles per hour. A blend of clouds and sun Tuesday 80. Lows around 65 Tuesday night. Low 80s Wednesday and Thursday with a chance of thunderstorms Wednesday. A peek at the extended shows, 81 Friday, 82 Saturday, and 85 on Sunday. And that's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 68 degrees.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter. Out Chicago.
If you think of every single thing from the Supreme Court to deporting these poor immigrants who are just trying to work hard and feed their families and have a better life, to the trans community that was thrown under the bus, you just wonder, where will the hate, where will the fear end? And if you keep thinking about it, like I just mentioned, it's a nowhere street mentally.
Catch Out Chicago every Sunday, 11 to 1 on WCPT 820.
We gather together in communities across the country to remember and honor, to celebrate and support, to light the night. Join us as we lift our lanterns high in order to move toward a world without blood cancer. Join us as we light the night for our loved ones. We are Blood Cancer United. Our mission is to cure blood cancer and to improve the quality of life of all patients and their families. We're people who live with blood cancer, survivors, caregivers, supporters. We're people who want to end blood cancer. We are Blood Cancer United. Join your community and help bring light to the darkness of cancer. Join us as we light the night. Find your local event at lightthenight.org. That's lightthenight.org.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
From city streets to political beats, you're driving it home with Patty Vasquez, where progressive talk fuels the ride.
Back here on Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, it's Paul Chivari and Ken Mejia Beal filling in. I want to thank you for joining us here on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal, as well as our listeners on KKNW Seattle 1150 and AM 950 Progressive Minnesota, who will be joining us later on the rebroadcast. But right now, every time I've filled in on this station, I try to talk to some of the Democrats from my district, because I am from Harvard, which is rural McHenry County, and I'm in the 16th congressional district, which kind of sidesteps all these major cities in the central. It goes around
probably
Rockford,
by grand design.
Oh yeah. I mean, unfortunately, the way that the Illinois Democrats drew up the maps, there had to be a few gerrymandered ones as we go tit for tat with the other party, and unfortunately, I live in one of those districts.
I'm sorry.
But we do exist. We are Democrats that are out there. My neighbor Lisa Hatterline, who ran a couple years ago, and just kind of the people that have stepped up in the Central Park part of this state and really wanted to have true representation for the people of our district. And one of those people who won the nomination is Paul Nolly, and he was the last person from this district that I've had the opportunity to speak with, and he joins us right now. Paul, thank you so much for joining Driving It Home today.
Hey, pleasure to be with you, and great to hear that you are living in the district. I know Harvard well, so that's great. But yeah, great to be on.
You have a voter.
There you go.
and yeah, you mentioned Harvard, and I know you guys had a door knocking thing a couple weeks ago. Lisa was trying to get me out for that, but I had to work here that day. But so I know you've been kind of hitting the door knocking, and it's not the easiest district to travel from town to town. But how has the campaign been going with getting out there and talking to the people face to face?
Yeah, well, you are right. We're actually on the road right now from Rockford to Normal, and a good 2-hour plus drive, across the district. That is the biggest challenge. One of the biggest challenges we face is just the geography of it. And I heard you guys talking about the way they gerrymandered and cut it up. But I can say we are feeling very, very positive about our campaign, about the opportunity to actually pick this seat up this cycle. And this is the time, and this is the campaign that I truly believe has the opportunity to do so. It's going to be a difficult path, but we believe we're on the right track and making the right moves to get it done. So we are feeling good. We're out there knocking, thousands of doors, raising dollars, making phone calls, building support from labor and other folks. So we are really excited with where we're at. We're pushing hard every single day. Got 70 days left. So no time to sleep, no time to stop. We're hitting it hard, and we feel excited about where we're at.
So, Paul, what's your backstory? Where are you from? What were you doing before you decided to run?
I am from the Rockford area, so lived a little bit all over Winnebago County, but both my parents are from the west side of Rockford, working class people. And about 15 years or so of my career has been with faith-based and community organizations, doing all sorts of running youth programs, literacy programs, doing fundraising for groups like Habitat for Humanity, the United Way. And for the last 6 years, I have been the executive director of a labor management organization. It's a nonprofit where I help young people get into union apprenticeship programs in the construction industry, work on some local public policy, but really help young folks explore good blue-collar careers. My dad has been a mechanic for my whole life and non-union, and so, the struggles that go with that. So I get to help young people figure out how to get into a slice of that blue-collar world where you get a great wage and pension and healthcare and all that kind of stuff.
So what made you want to run? What was the catalyst that made you decide that you wanted to be a candidate in this election?
Sitting, having a beer with my wife, Andrea, who I've been together with since high school, and we were a couple months into Trump 2.0 and said, holy cow, look at what is happening. Look at what we project and anticipate is coming. And we've got 2 little kids at home, and we could not sit by idly and just watch it happen, even though, we were both mid-career and we had just bought a house not too long before that. We were kind of, had a decent thing going, but, we knew that, putting ourselves out there, taking a little risk, putting our lives kind of out in full force to make some change and push back against the madness that was building, and unfortunately has been even worse than we even anticipated. That is just truly why I've been interested in politics and involved with politics since I was a teenager, but never thought I would run for office as a candidate. But it just got to be too much, and I thought I would be a good contrast coming from a working class background, basically coming from nowhere, from no one, running against a nepo baby guy who was son of a congressman who's been around powerful people his whole life. I thought that would be a good contrast, and I think the people of this district need a new vision that actually can help working class people get ahead in their lives. So those are some of the reasons why.
So what are a few of the things that you would like to see accomplished in your district should you be elected to Congress?
Well, for the first couple of years, I think job number one is going to be to shine a light on and root out this corruption and all of the backroom deals that are going on and just the madness that is just really destroying our system. I mean, I think it's really been building for the last several decades, but we see it's worse than ever. And so with divided government, I think that's one of the things that the Democrats are going to be able to do when they take over Congress. So that, that's to me number one. And then for number two, I really think we need to reform the political system and get some ideas moving, get national redistricting, full reform on the table, move away, get moving on the constitutional amendment to overturn Citizens United, get this dark money, all this money that's really making our political system just so rotten out. And then, I do support a very robust industrial policy that would affect people in cities like Rockford that have been hollowed out for 50 years, a bipartisan failure. And I think we need people who are willing to take on the powers that have been preventing that and been, run corporations and ship jobs overseas, weaken labor unions, et cetera, and then also get our healthcare system on the right track, expand access to Medicare, restore the ACA tax credits, make it more affordable. So those are some of the top priorities for me.
What sort of support have you been getting from the state Democratic Party? I know sometimes the 16th could be a little bit of a lost cause, but now that we have a candidate involved, what has been the state's sort of support for you?
Well, we recently did become a targeted race for the Democratic Party of Illinois and have joined their coordinated campaign. So, we had some early talks and laid out our plan and what we had achieved and the support from labor and our fundraising and our volunteer network that we've been building. And they were really encouraged and excited by that. And this is by far the most flippable of the 3 Republican-held congressional seats. So we are working closely with them to expand our voter outreach operation in the 3 key areas, Rockford, the bigger metro areas, Rockford, Victoria, Bloomington, and some areas beyond that. So that has been really helpful. And what that allows us to do is increase our capacity to knock doors and make phone calls in some of the more rural and small town areas. So that's really exciting for us, and that relationship continues to evolve and develop.
We're speaking with Paul Nally, who's the Democratic nominee for the 16th Congressional District in Illinois, currently on the campaign trail right now.
Literally.
Paul, when you're knocking on these doors, what's like the number one issue that you're hearing from some of these people?
The number one issue that I'm hearing is that people do not believe that their kids or their grandkids are going to have better opportunities than they had when they were growing up or into adulthood. It's just this idea of economic, scarcity, this general division we have in the country, the instability, just kind of this anxiety that what we have right now is not headed in the right direction. And I will say that is not just coming from Democrats and independents. We are having great conversation with Republican voters at the door because our persuasion universe, the folks we have to talk to at the doors and on the phone, is pretty wide in order to win in a district like that. And I have actually been very excited about the response from Republicans when we're talking to them. And that's the number one thing they talk about, in addition to, healthcare costs, the war, and how it's impacting them, kind of some of the pocketbook issues as well. But a lot of it's a general sense of instability, chaos, division.
And I know that Darren LaHood, who's represented this district for a long time, doesn't really offer up a lot of opportunities to speak with them through town halls. I probably know the answer to this question, but will we see a Paul Nally, Darren LaHood debate coming up in the next 2 months?
Yeah, just so everyone knows, it's been over 9 years since Darren LaHood has held an in-person real town hall. So it's so shameful. I've seen some people, kind of complain about their incumbent not holding it in, X number of days or whatever, and it's just ridiculous. It's 9 years. But to answer your question about a debate, I can say that we have a confirmed candidates forum, so not quite a debate, on October 5th in Peoria, and there is an invitation, which we have accepted, for a debate sometime in September that 3 of the news organizations across the district have teamed up together to organize. We have accepted. We've provided the dates that work for us, and we're still waiting for Darren and his team to respond. We have not heard yet, but don't want to anyone to hold their breath. But we're hoping he agrees, and we know he's feeling the pressure. So maybe there's a chance there. But October 5th, there is a candidates forum.
If you were a gambling man, do you think it's happening or no?
Probably not, but I think there's a better chance now than ever before that he would agree to it. He's running ads right now. He's got a campaign office for the first time in many years, opened up in Peoria. So he knows he has a real race, really for the first time in his entire political career.
Well, before we let you go, Paul, how are some ways that people can help you, even if they're outside of the district? What's the best way to contribute to your campaign or get to know more about you?
Yes, we absolutely would love help from outside the district, and we're grateful to people like Indivisible groups and other groups that have been coming in from outside the district to knock doors and throw us a few bucks. So the best way to get involved would be go to paulnally.com, Nolley, paulnally.com. You can pitch in, you can sign up to be a volunteer, even if you're outside the district. We've got phone banking going on several times a day. We've got carpools coming in to knock doors from outside the district. So we would be grateful for all the support. It's all hands on deck, and we truly believe we can get this done.
Well, Paul, we wish you luck.
Wish you the best, and I hope you knock it out of the park.
Yeah, these next 2 months are going to go by very quickly. So, stay hydrated, stay alert, be ready for that debate when LaHood, if and when he decides to join you on that and show up. And good luck out there, Paul. We're really rooting for you.
Hey, I appreciate you both. Thank you so much. We are working as hard as we can, and we'll hope to see you on the trail and talk to you again soon. Thank you both. I appreciate it.
Thank you for running.
All right, that's Paul Nally, the Democratic nominee in the U.S. Congressional 16th District, joining us on the road today as he's heading to an event down in Normal. We've got more of Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, with Paul Chivari and Ken Mejia Beal filling in a moment. Let's open up the lines for your calls. Yeah, yabba dabba do time. You ever get into that Porky Pig thing where you just kind of tripping on the word?
Every day of my life. Every day of my life.
Didn't do my vocal warm-ups today. So I'll work on those in the break. But your call, 773-763-9278, 773-763-WCPT. Call or text us. It's your turn when we come back right here on Driving It Home.
Upgrade your summer drives with the stunning performance of a Porsche. Find the perfect model for you at the Porsche Exchange in Highland Park. Browse and test drive our extensive selection like the 2026 Porsche Cayenne. Right now, lease the 2026 Cayenne for just $1149 a month for 39 months. Discover performance like no other when you visit the Porsche Exchange in Highland Park or PorscheExchange.com. $10,859 due at signing for qualified buyers. Excludes tax, title, license, and dealer fee. No security deposit required. See dealer for details. Offer ends 8/31/26.
How serious is youth vaping? Irreversible lung damage serious. 1 in 10 kids vape serious, which warrants a serious conversation from a serious parental figure like yourself. Not the seriously know-it-all sports dad or the seriously smart podcaster. It requires a serious conversation that is best had by you. No, seriously. The best person to talk to your child about vaping is you. To start the conversation, visit talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
Most people think child abuse is a bad parent problem.
Actually, the root causes may be different than you think.
Let us explain. Affordable housing for everyone?
That prevents child abuse. And access to health care in every community
prevents child abuse too. High quality, affordable child care.
Paid family leave.
School breakfast and lunch programs.
All of this prevents child abuse.
It's all about keeping families out of crisis in the first place.
Research shows that investing in prevention helps children stay safe, strengthens families, and builds healthier communities and a stronger economy. Prevent Child Abuse America promotes policies, programs, and resources that help families thrive before a crisis occurs.
Because when we keep families out of crisis,
we prevent child abuse
from ever happening.
Go to kidssay.org to learn more. Again, that's kidssay.org. And
let's solve child abuse before it ever happens.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
Here's great news for those Chicagoans heading up to southern Wisconsin. Should you ever forget to load up on progressive brews from the local favorites like Rogers Park Provisions or Park West Liquor in Lincoln Park, Minocqua Brewing Company beer is now conveniently available at Dream Liquor and Cigar in Kenosha and in the Lake Geneva area at Delavan Liquor and Smoke in Delavan. If the great town of Madison, Wisconsin is your jam, please remember to swing into the Minocqua Brewing Company tap room at 2927 East Washington Avenue to grab some Resistance beer, pizza, t-shirts, and progressive camaraderie.
No detours, no distractions. Just bold ideas and real talk. This is Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez.
But alas, Patty's out today. You get Paul Chivari and Ken Mejia Beal.
Yeah, you do.
It's not such a bad
It's a trade-off.
That's 2 for 1.
2 for BOGO.
Yeah.
Buy one, get one.
Exactly. But now is the chance to chime in with what you guys think. We've already given you a little bit of show so far with Kevin Schmidt from the Daily Herald, as the Daily Herald formed a guild of some of the writers there. We just talked to Paul Nally, the candidate in the congressional district that I live in, the 16th district. We still have Representative Blair Sherlock coming up and Trace Savage to talk about Oklahoma politics in the next hour. But want to know what you guys think. And right now we got Jim from Chicago on the line who wants to talk about Canada. Jim, how's it going?
Jim, how are you?
Hi, Ken. Hi, Paul. All I can say is I drank Canadian Club and soda for 40 years and never had a bad reaction. Now, it's just a sad day when we've declared war on Canada.
Yeah.
He's threatened to call Lake Ontario, I don't know, name it after himself or
I heard Lake
else.
America is what he wanted to call
God,
it. But the joke I wanted to make, though, is go figure he picks the smallest lake, so I feel like he's trying to compensate for something small.
Insert joke here.
Like his brain, his IQ. But anyway, Niagara Falls, I don't know if you guys have ever been to Niagara Falls.
Yes.
Of Niagara Falls. Yeah, Niagara Falls is also Canadian land, the other side of the falls. This is absolutely insane. And Patty, you used to get a big bang for your buck up in Canada. I don't know what's going to happen now with this insanity going on. But the other thing I was going to talk about is you hear these voters wringing their hands about socialism and so on and so forth. You've got to remember in 2020, Joe Biden has garnered the biggest polarity in American history. He got 81 million votes. So how they disappeared in 2024 is anybody's guess. But the point is they're out there, and I don't personally care if the person's a trapeze artist, as long as he votes Democratic. That's the way I feel about it. Because we're at a juncture now that is it's unsustainable. We got a war that has no end to it. We have inflation going sky high. You saw the deficit that over $40 trillion. The Republicans are always screaming about the deficit and conservatism. You have to conserve everything. In the meantime, they blow it to pieces when they get in the office.
Every single time.
Every single time. I mean, you could take the line from Reagan to this idiot, and he's really accelerated. But I don't, and then what about the mail, guys? What do you think about this insane mail business with this nut who's running the mail? I have friends that were vets in Vietnam that became mailmen, and I imagine they were up in arms. Why in God's name does this idiot think that he can fool around with the mail-in vote? And then the Supreme Court has enough nerve to take it up. I mean, they'll take up anything. They'll take up the Trump's putter from Mar-a-Lago. Anything he suggests, they'll take up. But I guess they can't enforce that until after the midterms. Thank goodness. What do you guys think?
I think it's a travesty. And I think it's a joke, especially coming from a president that utilizes mail-in voting and has multiple mailing addresses. That is my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. But the point is, it's already been instituted. I'm looking forward to my vote. It should be in a couple of weeks now, or in September sometime. And do I really want to go and start showing IDs and birth certificates and my DNA and my ancestry and so on and so forth at a polling place? I mean, this is like going back to Stalin's Russia.
Absolutely. It's asking so much of the voters that you're really just asking the voters to stay home.
Exactly.
That's all it is.
They know that. Well, they know that strategy. That's their strategy. Because, as I said, we got 81 million Democratic votes in 2020, so they know that they're out there. If they could get them to stay home is another story. But anyway, guys, it's good to hear you guys on the radio, and thanks for taking my call, Paul. Thank you.
Anytime, Jim. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, Jim. Yeah, I just wanted to say about, as far as mail-in voting, we still have yet to see actual evidence, actual proof that the 2020 election was manipulated at the way that the Trump and all of the GOP claims. And until they can do that, I consider it high treason that these people would make a bold claim like that and not be able to back it up.
I consider it the same way, but I expect this kind of buffoonery from these folks. So
absolutely, but it's just crazy to think that you would make such a bold claim.
Here's the problem
without backing it up.
It's not that they're saying it; is that the idiots that believe it.
Yeah,
I something I've learned with this administration is I understand that this administration is BS.
Yeah,
it's filled with more BS than baloney. I look at the people that believe it and go, what happened to you? Where did elementary school fail you? Where did your parents fail you? Where did common sense fail you? That you just believe this idiot says.
But I think a lot of it was some of the populist, sort of views that even before Donald Trump, before Trump ever even considered himself a political candidate or a Republican.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So like some of these ideas, the racism, the voter suppression, that sort of stuff has always been kind of bubbling up. It was just Trump kind of ripped the Band-Aid off and said that this is okay to have this wound bleed out.
And he stepped into it. And that's what I think a lot of folks, when we talk about Trumpism and Trump, folks fail to. Trump is not the Trump has been around forever, and once this Trump leaves, there will be more Trumps. The problem is the people that believe. It's always the people that believe in this garbage.
Yeah, that's true.
And they've always been around, and they will always be around. And unfortunately, they will continue to be louder than the sane people because we are sane, and we're just kind of like, well, I'm not even going to argue in the win, and these guys will. So there's a lot about our politics.
And then we'll get to some of that kind of what you were saying in the next hour when we talk to Trey Savage about some of the stuff in Oklahoma, because some of the stuff that the Republicans get away with saying and doing there would horrify you in Illinois, would be politically...
I'm from Arkansas.
Okay. So but you're desensitized maybe to it, or at least aware of it.
Yes.
But I feel that like some of the stuff that they can get away in heavily red states, what they say or do would just be political suicide in a state like Illinois.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, 100%.
Before we go to break, I wanted to take one more call here. We got Debbie from Old Town. Wanted to say hi today.
Hey, Debbie,
how's it
you?
going?
Hey, yeah, I wanted to say hi. And Paul, I wanted to thank you for Greece the other night.
Oh, you're welcome. I don't know if that was necessarily me if you called in on Sunday you won tickets on the different show.
I won tickets, but weren't you there? Wasn't that you being the MC on the show?
No, that wasn't me for that one. I'm not quite sure, but I'll take the credit for it. I'll take credit for it.
It was Paul. Which Paul was that?
Oh, I don't know. Well, I guess which show was it?
Sunday?
Yeah.
It was Grease.
It was Grease.
And it was a sing-along. It was a Grease, the movie, and a sing-along.
Oh, was it maybe Paul Lisnick sometimes gets...
Yes,
sometimes he gets... Yeah.
Okay.
I
wish...
got my Pauls mixed up. I'm sorry.
No,
don't apologize.
That's a great Paul to be mixed up with.
I love Paul.
The dapper Paul Lisnick and his great political knowledge.
It was great nonetheless, and Paul, I thank whoever Paul's with me.
Well, I will say thank you on Paul's behalf, or you're welcome on Paul's behalf.
We still appreciate it, Debbie.
But I did want to add, I know you're up against the break, but hello?
Yeah, you're still here.
Oh, we're still here.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to one thing. I think he is bat poop crazy. We've gone from unprecedented to unhinged.
Yes.
And, that it's just absolutely insanity what's happening right now. And the people that go along with it are just like the evangelist people. They would follow, Jimmy Falwell into the blazing fires of hell. And
that is a great analogy.
Yeah, that's the people.
Yep.
Those are the people. And every time they think we're doing something bad, it's a reflection on what they think and what they would do.
Yes.
And that's what. And they're so maniacal that they think that everybody else is as maniacal and as unhinged as they are. So they've got to one-up them. And that's hard to do. So this is what we're living with right now. And until it's over, we just this election is going to be a battle. It's going to be a battle. It's going to be a battle of certification. And that's why the courts need to be with us, and we need to get all our ducks in a row in terms of judges and Mark Elias, and everybody's out there. He is losing, and he's going to lose, but we've got to get through this.
Thank you so much for that,
Thank you,
Debbie.
Yeah, Debbie.
That was inspirational.
Yeah, some truth bombs at the bottom there too. Just trying to get us prepared for what's at stake here. And I like that. That's what I like about our listeners, that they're so ready for the fight. They're so ready to be informed.
You mean our listeners are smart?
Yeah. Right. Well, one of our listeners actually said, "Caller Jim is always good to hear. Smart man."
I love Jim.
So you gotta like the community that we got around us here. But we are halfway through Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez. We got me, Paul Chivari, and him, Ken Mejia. I was so good with it. I was on like a hot streak of getting your name right.
You're good.
100%, but getting a little mush mouth here. But Ken Mejia Beal is sitting across from me. I'm Paul Chivari. We've got hour 2 of Driving It Home coming up next.
We gather together in communities across the nation to remember and honor, to celebrate and support, to light the night. Join us as we lift our lanterns high. We are Blood Cancer United, and we see a world without blood cancer. Join us as we light the night. Find your local event at lightthenight.org. That's lightthenight.org.
Snakes, zombies, sharks, heights, speaking in public. The list of fears is endless. But while you're clutching your blanket in the dark, wondering if that sound in the hall was actually a footstep, the real danger is in your hand, when you're behind the wheel. And while you might think a great white shark is scary, what's really terrifying and even deadly is distracted driving. Eyes forward, don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your family, your phone, and your furry friends with life, electronic device, and pet insurance. Bundle at progressive.com.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. The U.S.-Canada trade war is deepening. Sources tell AP Canada will announce retaliatory tariffs Tuesday. Julie Walker reports that follows President Trump declaring Canadian leaders need to fall in line or they'll face far worse.
In a post threatening a 50% tariff on cars, auto parts, and steel starting next year on top of the 50% he began imposing on $20 billion worth of Canadian goods Saturday. In response, Canada vowing to retaliate with its own 50% tariffs on U.S. goods, including steel, dairy, and clothing, starting September 8th. Vice President J.D. Vance, stumping in Maine.
Canada allows itself to be used as a backdoor for Chinese goods.
We have all we need right here.
Prime Minister Mark Carney.
Building at home and diversifying our trade abroad. That's not plan B. It's been our plan A from the start.
I'm Julie Walker.
The U.S. has announced new sanctions on Iran, warning other countries to sever financial ties. In Nevada, crews have 27% containment on that wildfire near Reno, and in Worcester, Massachusetts, remains found near a hospital are believed to be those of a woman sought in the killing of her police officer husband.
Observing a deceased body in the woods.
Worcester Police Chief Paul Saucier says a final ID was pending.
We believe this person to be Karen Solomon.
Kurt Solomon had served 31 years with the Worcester Police Department, while his wife Karen was the co-founder of First Help, a nonprofit that advocates for the mental health of first responders. She was seen on doorbell camera footage on August 18th, walking down the street just minutes after police found Kurt Solomon's body at the couple's house, mortally injured with a sharp object. Investigators say a handgun was found near Karen's body, and it was not a Worcester Police service.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm staff meteorologist Laura Lockwood. Lows level off around 58 overnight under mainly clear skies. South winds around 5 miles per hour. A blend of clouds and sun Tuesday, 80. Lows around 65 Tuesday night. Low 80s Wednesday and Thursday with a chance of thunderstorms Wednesday. A peek at the extended shows, 81 Friday, 82 Saturday, and 85 on Sunday. And that's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 68 degrees.
This is Richard Chu with Something to Chew On. GOP, MAGA, and right-wing apologists, it's time for you to acknowledge that you've been and are continuing to be played and duped by Donald Trump. From fixing inflation on day one, bringing down grocery prices, eliminating the national debt, slashing energy costs, ending the war in Ukraine, no new foreign wars, building the wall, draining the swamp, and all the rest, Donald Trump has failed. And it's not just because he lied, lies, and will continue to lie. It's because he is flat out incompetent. This latest controversy over Air Force One and the catering container shows his craven incompetence and also that of his cabinet. So admit it, GOP and MAGA, you got played and duped. And maybe it's just time that you leave Donald Trump in the political desert like he left you in Turkey.
Richard Chu, weekday mornings at 6 on WCPT 820.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Driving it home with Patty Vasquez, Patty Vasquez. From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing ass says, she's driving it home with Patty Vasquez.
It's not Patty Vasquez today. It's Paul Chivari with Ken Mejia Beal, who's sitting in like all week, apparently.
Ken lives here now.
I was going to say, and then you were here on Sunday as well.
I was here. Yeah, I love being here, and I have a lot to talk about. So.
Our artist in residence, Ken Mejia Beal.
I'm going to own this place one day. KMB Radio's coming live.
Well, give me a good promotion when you do that. Okay? You heard in the first hour we talked to Kevin Schmidt and Paul Nally. This hour we've got Trace Savage coming up to talk about the runoff election tonight in Oklahoma, or today in Oklahoma, as the polls will be closing in just about an hour. But first, Ken brought a guest to the show today, someone that he knows pretty well. I'll let him go ahead and introduce her.
Oh, she's amazing. She's one of my favorite representatives coming from District 46. It is Representative Diane Blair Sherlock. Hello, Representative Blair Sherlock. How are you today?
Hi, honey. I'm great. How are you?
I'm great. We were talking on air earlier. I said you are the only state rep that I got to swear in.
You did, but it didn't contain swearing, but he did swear. I think I even got a hug. Yeah,
you got it, and a wonderful picture.
Yes.
So how's everything going in your neck of the woods?
Everything is fabulous. If you don't mind, I'd like to give a shout out to my husband. Happy birthday, honey.
Happy birthday, honey.
Today.
Tell him I said hi.
Yes, I will.
Any plans tonight?
Yeah, we're going to have a cake. And it's the best cake ever. So I don't know if I should say the name of the cake company, but their cakes are fabulous.
Okay, well, you can if you change your mind. And I don't know how to segue into this, but I want to talk about the geeks, because I'm a geek, and you are having Geekapalooza.
Yes, I am a total geek, and actually I'm from a family of geeks. And so this is our second annual Geekapalooza, and I'm very excited about it. It's going to be September 13th, which is a Sunday, and it's going to be on the Illinois Prairie Path in Villa Park near Villa Avenue. And we have got a lot of exciting participants this year. We have comic book creators, we have food vendors, we have different things like artists and jewelry makers, and we'll have Lee Heilman books, buttons, magnets, and crochet goods. We're going to have Unicorn Comics, and we're going to have Hugo Negron books and Lavi H2, which makes some really fabulous stuff, Conklin Comics, and I'm looking for it. I don't see it on my list, Jax, but we have some fabulous comic book creators. And one of the best parts, too, is we have a costume contest.
Oh,
and,
stop.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you come dressed as your favorite superhero or villain or sci-fi character, and you get the 2026 Geekapalooza trophy, which is specially made and bespoke for our event. So it's really,
love this.
Yeah, it's really a lot of fun. Oh, and we're going to have Youth Outlook again. and I know
is an organization very close to my heart.
It is. And they participate in all my events, and they are amazing and wonderful. And they always have a table full of people coming to them, and I love to see the support in the community.
Aww.
I really do.
Well, it's because of representation like you that we at Youth Outlook have the support that we do. So it's very circular, and, there's so many reps, and especially in the state of Illinois, state reps and state senators that have been so supportive of community, and you are one of them. And, it's hard to come by, but we appreciate you as well.
Yeah, I love my community. I really do. I represent some of the most wonderful people in the world. They're kind, they're caring, they're compassionate, and they come together in the face of adversity. So I am so appreciative of the people in my district and in my community.
And that's what
I'm happy to give back.
Well,
it is.
I am happy to.
Is.
Can I ask you another question?
Sure.
So you're sitting at home one day, as one does, and you think, you know what we need? We need geeks to come together to do something fun. Like, walk me through how this came, how this happened.
Well, there was another town that did something like this, and it was a comic book store that put it together. And I would take my son there, and we would all dress up in costumes, and we had a good time. And the comic book store decided that they didn't want to do it anymore. And I told the town that I'd be happy to do it there. And they said, no, we've decided we don't have it anymore. I said, then I'm stealing your idea. So I actually stole the idea, yes. And I brought it to Villa Park because, growing up, we have, the traditional, what you think of comic book shop in Villa Park. It's called Unicorn Comics. Mm-hmm. And when my kids were little, they had this program where you could get a brown bag of comic books for $10. And we always did road trips. So I would go there like a month before the road trip, and I'd say, I want to get the 100 comic books for $10 because you make it for my kids. Because I didn't want, the scary, bloody, gory stuff. My kids were kind of young. So they would get Archie and Little Lotta and all the stuff that Mom would approve of.
Got it.
Yeah. And it was great because the whole trip they had something to keep themselves busy. And, we are a Marvel DC house here.
Well, you can't
Best
be both.
Superman
You can't be both, Representative Blair Sherlock. You're either DC
fight.
or Marvel.
We fight, but you know what? We were a total Marvel family until Superman with Crypto came out.
Got it. Okay, I will accept sort of. I'm a Marvel guy, so I will sort of. There's no DC in my house.
But did you see that Superman with Crypto? That was fabulous.
I've
Superman ever.
I'm loyal. I'm very, very loyal.
Yeah, because it was phenomenal. Anything with a cute dog in it, man.
Fair.
Yeah. Anyhow, so it's a very exciting event. The kids enjoy it, the adults enjoy it, because let's face it, geeks are not limited to an age group.
No, and we never, once you are a geek, you never outgrow it.
Absolutely.
You never outgrow it. A question about Springfield really quick, speaking of geeks.
Sure.
You will be going back soon, correct?
In November, yeah.
Okay, well, not... Are there any other... Who are some of your favorite geeks to work with down there?
Oh, geez. Well, if you're talking, okay, funny story.
Yes.
I'll talk a little bit about geeks. I'm going to say Kelly Cassidy as a geek because she has the blue hair, right?
Yeah.
So there was an article about how Illinois had the most blue hairs in the House. And we're like, blue hairs? We're not that old. But it turned out they were talking about Kelly, and I think it was...
There's someone else.
Out right now. Yeah, it's a leader... And I feel terrible for forgetting her name at this particular moment. But you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do. I can see her face.
Because I worked with her on the public transit working group, and I talk to her all the time, and I just can't remember her name at this moment. But anyhow, so we got a kick out of it. So the Women's Caucus bought a bunch of the extensions. And so one day we all showed up on the floor in blue hair.
I love this.
So I would say that we're all geeks. Or the time when it was really late at night and it was budget night and we were all getting bored, and then Cam started and we all started singing American Pie.
Oh,
I mean,
that sounds like a great evening.
It was. And One of the reasons I enjoy the house so much is because I think that there's just amazing people in the house. They all care about their communities. They all know their communities. And we're all fighting for something just a little different, right? Mm-hmm. We may not always agree, but we try and look at each other from each other's perspectives and understand that we all represent different communities of people who have different needs and different desires and different wants, and we have to respect that about each other.
And one of my favorite things about you individually is your ability to see the other side and see the compromise in negotiation, which is a lost art form. You can compromise without breaking. You can compromise and still get what you want, so to speak. And I wish you taught this as a class across our country. There's a lot of folks in DC that could learn a lesson
right?
from you.
Yeah. It's a give and take, right? And you got to be patient. And a lot of people don't understand because they're like, well, just pass the bill.
Yeah, and it's like, I can't just pass the bill. There's problems with said bill.
Right.
Well, and I know it's your husband's birthday, and so we probably have to let you go soon. But before we wrap up, can you please tell us again the date? Where can we go to celebrate Geekapalooza with Representative Diane Blair Sherlock?
Yes, it is Geekpalooza. It is going to be Sunday, September 13th from 12 to 3 o'clock. It's going to be on the Illinois Prairie Path in Villa Park, right by Villa Avenue, by the Villa Park Museum. Very exciting stuff, and we're really looking forward to seeing people there. But please, if you can, come in costume. I was Storm last year, so I'm excited to see what everybody's going to come up with this year, and it's going to be a lot of fun for families.
That's why we wanted to get you in early so we can push these costumes. And don't worry, folks, you can reuse those for Halloween. Thank you so much, Representative Blair Sherlock. Have a wonderful evening, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Okay, have a good one.
You too, and we'll be right back after this break.
If you're purchasing a new home or refinancing your existing home, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Suzanne called after hearing me explain discount points on my radio show because her son was purchasing a home in Colorado. I answered Suzanne's questions and encouraged her son to call me for a free consultation. Suzanne was so impressed with the service I provided, she wrote this 5-star Google review. Quote, I sent David an email today with a question about discount points that I heard him talk about on his radio show. And he called me back this evening with a complete explanation. I'm so impressed with his responsiveness and knowledge. Thank you, Suzanne, for the amazing review. I strongly encourage everyone to check out Team Hochberg's close to 600 5-star Google reviews. Team Hochberg helped Suzanne and thousands of radio listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. That's 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Atlantic Coast Mortgage, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 643114.
Retirement can be scary, but only if you're not prepared. That's why AARP created thisispretirement.org. Because unless you've already retired, you're in pretirement, and you still have time to plan. Learn about retirement savings options, potential tax breaks, and how you can build savings over time. Visit thisispretirement.org for free resources to help you customize your action plan and feel the retirement fear disappear. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
After my wife died, I lost myself too. I didn't feel like doing anything or seeing anyone. Then my granddaughter called to say she misses me, and I realized I had to make a change. That's when I made the call. I got referred to a psychiatrist, and she explained depression can happen to anyone. I'm learning that getting help doesn't make me weak. It makes me stronger. Mental health care works when you make the call.
See what it can do for you at mentalhealthcareworks.org. A message from the American Psychiatric Association Foundation.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or
and Pete.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez.
Well, not quite Patty Vasquez. It's Paul Chivari with Ken Mejia Beal, the artist in residence that's on every show that it seems like. In fact, you can hear Ken Mejia Beal with Elliot Serrano, who's filling in for Patty tomorrow on Driving It Home. Their guests include Tom Appel. He's really nice.
I love Tom.
Tom's great.
Yeah.
That's the only guest I see so far. Do you know who else you guys got, or is that still in the works?
And tomorrow's Wednesday.
I just put you on the spot
Yeah,
right
you
there.
did.
It's
Tom Appel.
Tom Appel.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Tom's great.
Yeah, move on, Paul. Move on.
Also want to let you guys know that Heartland Signal now has a free newsletter every week. Heartland Signal's head of research, Aaron Kleinman, delivers Radio Free America, highlighting stories that matter in state politics but aren't getting enough attention. Subscribe today at heartlandsignal.com/newsletters. And if you guys want to call right now, this is a good spot to call 773-763-9278, 773-763-WCPT. Text or call. What do you want to talk about? I wanted to follow up on the Geekapalooza.
Yeah.
I mentioned briefly at the top of the show these robot Olympics that have been going on in
Perfect
China.
segue.
Yes, and it's funny because the whole idea of it was
scary.
Well, yes, but no, okay. So it's China. So of course, their long list of humanitarian causes that they believe in, but they created this to like try and improve their industries. Maybe these robots can help us with
The
better
robots will not help us.
Okay, but yeah, the better accomplishment
Yes.
of these goals. Yeah,
Yes.
I totally agree with you, especially because it's really, while I'm saying it's entertaining watching some of these robots run and move and lift and do stuff and jump. You watch them fail and you're like, ha, 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 ha. But then when they succeed, you're like, oh my goodness, we're not far from Terminator. We are right there.
And that is all I think of every time these conversations come up. I think, did we not learn from Terminator?
No.
Am I the only one that watched it and said, oh no?
Yeah.
Because it seems like everyone else is just, not everyone, but, I have friends that are like, the future's going to, and they're so excited about everything. It's like, did you not see Terminator? It's the robots are going to take over.
I guess when I watched all of these, sci-fi movies, I would always think like, well, this is science fiction. It can't happen to us, not realizing that how quickly technology has changed in the last, 20 years, 30 years, 10 years, 5 years, and how like we are just getting closer and closer. When you hear about the Ukrainian-Russian war, how drone warfare is just kind of taking over all of that. And it's just, we are like one step away from the robots just taking over.
Yeah.
And it's crazy when you hear about maybe like a glitch where like, oh, the computer forgot to shut that valve or do that. And I'm waiting for those days when we are so reliant on the technology that the human workers do not know how to perform the tasks that they are trusting the robots to do for them.
There was a situation, I believe, with Waymo where the cars were having issues parking and they were just all going in a circle, honking at each other at 3 a.m. And my first reaction was there no human that could press a button to make it stop?
Right.
Because that kind of scares me, that these cars are just driving themselves around in a circle and honking and disturbing humans.
Have you seen that Waymo delivery bot that like was delivering downtown in Chicago probably like earlier this summer, and it like went right through one of the bus stops?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. It's like, this is the future.
Yep.
Why is there glass in my burrito?
I saw a picture of a guy asleep in his Tesla on the highway, just letting the auto driver go at it.
So when I was in San Francisco, I did ride in the Waymo because my friend had a coupon. I was against it, but I did it anyway. And he goes to get in the back, and he goes, "What are you?" I was like, "I'm not getting in the back seat I'm sitting up front."
Yeah.
Because I feel like if something goes left, I can try to do something.
Oh, yeah, like grab the wheel or something.
Anything.
Yeah.
I probably won't succeed, but I can't just sit in the... Like, that's crazy to me. Like, he's in the back. He's returning emails. I'm, like, paying attention. He's It's like, you got to relax. I'm not relaxed. There's not a human here.
I have you ever been in an Uber in a different city and
all the time?
Okay, but like, and you're too inebriated and you don't know the city that well. Like, you give this like blind trust to a stranger, you know, and I can't imagine that. Like, okay, at least like, it's a human. Humans might be capable of, you know, some sort of bad thing or good thing.
Yeah.
With the robot, you never know where they're at. You never know if they know where they're going. You're really trusting a lot when you're doing this.
As a person that's been inebriated in almost every city in America.
The Ken tour.
It's fun. I can tell you when I get to where I'm going, the driver will wake you up. We'll let you know that you're there. I can't imagine doing that in a Waymo.
Right.
Like, I'm just asleep.
Yeah.
Like, what does he do?
Well, yeah, right.
How does he get me out?
Play like loud music or something to like it. Yeah, that's a good question.
What happened? I would still be in San Francisco somewhere.
That's hilarious. Well, we got a call from Ron from Chicago, wants to talk about Trump. Ron, this is quite the transition here, but what did you want to say about Trump?
Hey, Ron.
How you doing? Yes, Trump announced that all flags will be at half-mast for Dolly Parton for a week. Does he think he's going to get votes for doing this?
I think he does. Because wasn't he very outspoken about her recently? Like, didn't she do something that went against sort of his philosophies or his policies? And I want to say he had some sort of side comment about her. And I'm trying to vaguely remember something from months ago, but I swear that Dolly had made Trump's like enemies list because everybody makes it into Trump's enemies list. Yeah. So that kind of surprised me to see that he wants to lower the flags to half staff, and that's a nice gesture. But yeah, I'm with you, Ron. I think that's purely for trying to attract votes.
It's not genuine, no.
No. And I wanted to tell this to Tory Ryder if he was talking about cities that have the same name. There are 38 states that have this city called Springfield.
I did know that because I read it. So I'm a huge Simpsons person, and they talked about all the states that the Simpsons could possibly be in.
All right, thank you. All right.
Thank you, Ron.
Yeah, no, there's a big argument that I think the whole goal of The Simpsons was it was going to be kind of ambiguous anyway. But Springfield, Oregon, I think is a big possibility because of Matt Groening's ties to Oregon.
Possibly.
And then Springfield, Illinois is a big one because there's a Shelbyville, Illinois, and that's relatively close to Springfield. But it's also, they say it's like next to the Grand Canyon, next to an ocean,
it's
next
a
to
magical
the mountains.
place.
Yeah,
it's a magical place. And some people think Massachusetts because Quimby is clearly a Kennedy ripple. So who knows? I don't know.
I think it's just supposed to be every town USA.
Every town USA.
9 Springfields in the United States.
There's a lot of Springfields. But I still love the show. But no, they did give an article where it's like 38 of these states this is where. But I was reading something. It's like, okay, it's definitely not there.
Yeah,
it's definitely not there. Maybe Missouri.
It's a shame the segment's going to end soon because you got me started on Simpsons now. I could go the rest of the show with you about this. So, well,
maybe Trace can join in.
Right. What are your thoughts on the second Simpsons movie coming out in 2027?
I'll be there.
Yeah.
I'll be there. I'm never giving up on them because they never gave up on me.
So there was I want to say Matt Groening said something along the lines of if the show stops being profitable, then he'll take it off the air.
It'll never not be profitable.
And that's the thing. And then he wants to end it in a movie, which everyone speculated the first movie was going to be the end.
Got it.
Obviously, that was 20 years ago, so we're still doing this. But do you think that this could be like the big secret ending?
I think at some point every good thing has to end.
Absolutely.
But I also feel like they have not aged. So as long as
other than Julie Kavner's voice with Marge, you can hear it.
It's happening.
Yeah.
But this is what I will say, and I will end it this way. I think The Simpsons should end when Ice-T finally retires from SVU.
Okay.
Because he's been a cop on SVU for 30 years at this point. So if they can still do it in real life, I don't see why The Simpsons can't.
Well, and I know they've replaced with the idea of how offensive Apu was to the Indian community.
Yes. They've tried,
and I want to say that they were going to bring back the character with an Indian person voicing Apu. And I want to say they've replaced, Carl has, an African-American man playing him now.
They're trying.
I forgot where I was going with this, but it was essentially like, do you think they're going to just replace the voice cast before they pull the plug on the show? Because Dan Castellaneta, Harry Shearer, Hank Azaria, Julie Kavner, they can't live forever,
I do not know, but I will say that I read just recently that Julie is actually the aunt of Sabrina Carpenter.
No kidding.
I read that somewhere, and I was like, got it.
That's a fun fact.
That's a fun fact. But no, I mean, The Simpsons is very profitable. I'm a huge Real Housewives of Beverly Hills fan, and Jennifer Tilly was married to one of the guys on the show, and he said, I can give you this money, or I can give you, like, future money from The Simpsons. And she said, I took the future money from The Simpsons.
Smart.
And it was the best decision she's ever made in her life.
Smart. I mean, Jennifer Tilly's already like a great poker player. So
I did not know that.
You didn't know that?
Until I started watching Beverly. I was like, oh, she's good at this.
Yeah.
Got it. But no, it's like The Simpsons, the merch will always be there. The nostalgia will always be there. And it's from a Gen X millennial generation, and we don't ever grow up. We're never going to get older, so they can just keep going. We're never getting older.
That is true. That is true. I showed my oldest stepson, I showed him You Only Move Twice the other day. That's the one, Hank Scorpio. So there was a couple of episodes like, I raised those kids on The Simpsons, and then one day I was naming off an episode, and they're like, yeah, I never heard of that one. I think it's the one where Marge is selling pretzels and the mafia gets involved.
That's a good one.
It's a great episode.
Yes.
I'm describing this, and they're like, we've never heard of this one. And I was like, all right, to Disney Plus right
Let's
now.
go.
To the DVDs.
That's right.
Yeah. So
you got to educate these kids.
And now I've got a 6-year-old about to be 7, so I'm trying to find like the episodes that are like kind of safe for a young kid. I mean,
all of the episodes are safe for young kids because they're too young to get the dirty stuff.
That's true, but I think there are some that are a little bit more blatant than others. But my mindset is I watched that show. It was the Christmas episode where they get Santa's Little Helper. I remember watching that in my parents' kitchen on a little tiny TV, like black and white. Like the rest of the family's downstairs watching something, and I'm upstairs like, this new cartoon show is going to be great. And I was hooked from day one. I was probably like 7 or 8 years old when it came out. So my mindset is...
That was 89?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So now that I've put a date on myself here, but yeah.
Well, I'm a fan because I remember 89. I just remember it always being there.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
It's been around since not since I've been alive.
So I'm old enough to remember the Tracy Ullman shorts. Like, you'd be going to like commercial on the Tracy Ullman show, and you'd see like the little shorts where they're like taking the pictures and Bart's making faces. Okay. Or like, I know who Tracy Ullman is because I used to watch Tracy Takes One, but no, you lost me, and that's okay. Well, yeah. So it used to be, they were just like these little animated shorts that they do coming back from commercial. Wow. On the Tracy Ullman show. And like, little did anyone know that those little shorts would end up being the most profitable thing of the whole network.
Because it's the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Best thing ever.
Well, when we come back, we're going to be talking about the runoff election in Oklahoma. A lot of things that are at stake today. But of course, I don't know much about Oklahoma politics, but I found someone that could help me through it. His name is Trey Savage. He's going to be joining us shortly here. We're driving it home. It's Paul Chivari and Ken Mejia Beal.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm staff meteorologist Laura Lockwood. Lows level off around 58 overnight under mainly clear skies. South winds around 5 miles per hour. A blend of clouds and sun Tuesday 80. Lows around 65 Tuesday night. Low 80s Wednesday and Thursday with a chance of thunderstorms Wednesday. A peek at the extended shows 81 Friday, 82 Saturday, and 85 on Sunday. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 68 degrees.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
Many of our U.S. veterans and service members face challenges: mental health struggles, housing obstacles, employment, food insecurity, and social isolation, to name just a few. I'm Bob Woodruff. My family and I started the Bob Woodruff Foundation in 2006 after I sustained a life-threatening injury while reporting from Iraq. Our service members had my back that day, and we need to have theirs now more than ever. At the Bob Woodruff Foundation, we raise awareness about the tough challenges veterans and military families face and invest in solutions to help support them in the next chapter of their lives. And with one solution comes the next. We solve a housing situation, we increase employment opportunities. We solve employment problems, we address food insecurity. We solve food insecurity, we impact physical and mental health issues. Learn more about our work at bobwooderfoundation.org/success.
For the longest time, it was hard for me to even get out of the house, much less do a backside 180. That's when I made the call. With my doctor's help, I was diagnosed with anxiety. Now I'm finding better ways to cope. Sure, some days are better than others, but the whole thing about getting out of the house, that's not really an issue anymore. Mental health care works when you make the call.
See what it can do for you at mentalhealthcareworks.org. A message from the American Psychiatric Association Foundation.
Because facts matter. You are listening to WCPT 820.
No detours, no distractions. Just bold ideas and real talk. This is Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez.
Well, it's Paul Chivari and Ken Mejia Beal filling in for Patty Vasquez today. And Ken's going to be here tomorrow with Elliot Serrano.
Ken's never leaving.
And Patty will be back a week from tomorrow as we go through the carousel of all the different guest hosts that Patty has on the show. Wanted to wrap up something from the previous segment before we get to our next guest.
Yeah, we had some Simpsons. We have Mark, who said 2 words, Flaming Mo.
Which is a great episode.
Which is amazing.
Classic episode. And then we were asked who our favorite characters are on The Simpsons.
So that's easy for me. My all-time favorite character is Ned Flanders. Okay. I find him hilarious. He's self-righteous, but in such a goofy kind of way. So Ned Flanders is definitely my favorite character.
I think I got to go with like Krusty the Clown.
Also a good one.
I think just some of the old school show business jokes that they do with him, and just kind of like his whole demeanor, and I guess how it was inspired from Bob Bell as Bozo the Clown.
Yes.
So I don't know. I'd like to go with that.
Well, I also love Sideshow Bob. As well. Like so, but Ned Flanders is definitely just it's so ridiculous.
So I want to thank our listeners for chiming in on that one on the text line 773-763-9278 if you want to contribute there. Today is the runoff election for Oklahoma, and a lot of interesting things at stake here. We've got their Republican nominee for governor between the wealthy Gentner Drummond and the Trump-backed candidate Mazie. We've got the GOP superintendent was another race that I was told to keep on my radar, Franklin versus Taylor. Democratic Senate, as we have a Democratic Socialist in Taylor going up against more of a traditional Democrat in Priest. And then there's a couple of ballot measures that I wanted to get to, and I know it's probably not the most interesting thing for a listener to hear about these things, but I think they're some of the, elections are important, and they are important. They have, the outcomes will decide the future of the state, and we know here at Heartland Signal that we know that states and their legislatures have a lot of power to influence the state and the country. So I felt that this was something worth talking about, but I don't know much about Oklahoma politics. But as I was doing the research for it, I came across a nonprofit journalist outlet, and it's called Non-Doc, and they give you some neat insight into all of the stuff. Free articles. They broke down the election, all the different things at stake, from each race, covering even some of the smaller races in the House and the Senate there. And I was able to talk to the editor-in-chief, Trace Savage, and he joins us right now. Trace, thank you so much for taking time out of a busy day.
Thank you.
As the polls are about to close in 20 minutes here, how has the day been going for you?
Everybody.
Hello.
Hey.
You're supposed to say hi, Dr. Nick.
Oh, hi, Dr. Nick. I turned it on.
Messed up.
That's it. We messed
up.
We messed
up that one.
Yeah, no, you're fine. The Simpsons. That's actually something that happens on our Monday morning Zoom call, and it makes me feel like the old man of the office that the younger folks who work with us don't have any idea what I'm talking about. Hey, thanks for having me. That's good stuff, and we can talk about Ned Flanders later. We've had our fair share of Oakley Dokleys run for office. Thanks for the kind words about what we've done, and we're about 20 minutes away from polls closing and the initial absentee and early voting numbers to show, and it'll be a bit of a late night here. Normally in Oklahoma, you have your two main metropolitan areas, Oklahoma City and Tulsa, and normally Tulsa, historically, for whatever reason, kind of comes in last, and it'll be interesting to see how things look early versus as they close. We're trying to put up a data map right now. Whether we get it up or not, that is a real-time function is sort of new for us, but we're trying to make that work in the other room here at the office. So yeah, what do you guys want to know about what's going on in Oklahoma?
Well, I guess let's get some of the election stuff out of the way. With do you guys do mail-in balloting there? Is this something where as the night goes on, they're going to be opening those up later, or is that going to have an effect?
I think so. Yeah, we do that. That became a little more popular. And certainly some of the get out the vote efforts, adopted a strategy of trying to get people to vote early after during COVID, and then they're forth. Those typically are up within 10 minutes of the polls closing. I think they have they already have them. I don't know that for sure, but I mean, they're some of the first things that pop up. Then you have your absentee. Absentee voting is in non-presidential years, Thursday, Friday, Saturday before the Tuesday election. In presidential years, they've added Mondays as well. So, you get a sense, if somebody's way ahead in an early vote totals, you get a pretty good indication that they've got a good lead. But sometimes it depends. Has one candidate really emphasized that more than another? And it's not always at the bat so and so's got a 3% lead that's going to hold, because it kind of depends on whose campaign is tried to utilize that as a strategy.
So we know that Cindy Munson has already gotten the Democratic nomination for governor, but tonight determining who's going to get the Republican nomination. And I know that this is a big one in the state right now. Gentner Drummond, who from my understanding comes from a wealthy family that is very well established in Oklahoma, and he's going up against Mike Mazzei, who is the Trump-backed candidate. Some of the stuff that I saw, I know that there's like a big, aluminum smelter project that seems to be contentious amongst the candidates and their stance on it, amongst some of the other issues going on. But kind of in your words, describe what this race means for Oklahoma and what these candidates kind of represent.
Yeah, I mean, this is for everybody who's trying to be polite. Obviously there's a general election, but Democrats here haven't really cracked 44% in 2 decades, and there is a presumption that the Republican nominees in these races are heavily favored, right? So this is, and the challenge with that, right, is that historically a runoff election voter turnout is lower than you would have in a primary. There was in 2018, the last time we had an open gubernatorial race, the drop-off between primary and runoff for the Republican nomination was 33%. Now, we did have medical marijuana on that primary ballot, which drove a lot of people to vote for the first time in a long time. And so it could be anywhere between 250,000 and 300,000 votes tonight. We had 403,000 in the Republican primary in June, and yeah, it's neck and neck. And all signs point that way. The Trump endorsement probably doesn't carry the weight that it did 4 years ago. Which I think is, sort of telling for him, right? I mean, in a separate, element of this, but, and then what did that endorsement entail, right? There were a few Truth Social messages. There was a video that was recorded, and then there was some sort of, pre-recorded town hall, 18-minute conversation last night that people dialed into. Didn't involve a visit here, didn't involve them standing side by side, didn't involve a TV ad or something like that where, the president was speaking directly. it's kind of the question has been, Drummond has sort of running on the first, 3/4 of this campaign, embracing the president, as closely as he possibly could, thinking he was going to, be able to pull out some sort of endorsement or something like that. I mean, the reality is that he used to be a Democrat. His family, made this questionable donation to Joe Biden and the Lincoln Project, and he donated to a bunch of other Democrats over the years. And so he worked for former U.S. Senator David Boren, who was a Democrat. And so, it was always, I think a lot of people were like, feels weird that you're, wrapping yourself in, MAGA so hard. I mean, that in some ways that's, kind of what people do in Republican, primary politics these days. But when the endorsement went Mazzei's direction, which caught a lot of people off guard, and maybe shouldn't have, right? Because he had a close relationship with Roger Stone, who was, being paid on the campaign. And, Roger has wanted there to be an outsider, in a lot of the elections he's been involved in. And certainly in Oklahoma, we have sort of an entrenched establishment of a bunch of different interests. And you can go to Roger Stone's Twitter account and unpack that a little bit more if you want. But the point of it is that it sort of shocked people because Mazzei was this guy who was, a smart fiscal guy, served in the state Senate, had a couple car accidents, a bad back injury, was sort of like well known of being a bit aloof and, on pain medication and things, and kind of, had weird meetings, lying down on his couch and cut the backs off his shirts, as he wandered around the Capitol. And, and then he was in the current governor's cabinet as budget secretary. And he's kind of an awkward guy. I mean, the current governor, Governor Stitt, has endorsed him and said he's goofy, but, says he's a smart guy and, should endorse him. And so when the endorsement went to Mazzei, people didn't think that he was going to be in the top two, to get there. And I like to say that the only person Gentner Drummond could beat in this race, in this runoff, is Mike Mazzei, and the only person Mike Mazzei could beat in this runoff is Gentner Drummond. And it's a weird position to sort of watch that play out, right? Does that make people not go out and vote at high numbers? I don't know.
Well, and in addition to that, to my understanding, you guys had a severe heat wave today, over 100 degrees in various parts of the state. Do you think that affected the turnout as well?
We'll find out. I mean, in some ways, probably. I mean, I think it probably affects it for folks like me who are registered independents or, no party. The only thing we could vote on is 2 state questions, one of which is relatively meaningless, and the other one's pretty deep in the weeds. And so I think if you had some older folks in their 80s who didn't want to get out in the heat and they're independent, and that, are they going to go vote? Probably less likely to. That said, this heat wave has been 3 weeks, 4 weeks in the making. So by this point, it's like, 105. Well, that's, when's it not going to be 105, right? So it's kind of it's not like that happened. I think if it had happened in the last 48 hours, maybe there would be more of an impact. But at this point, like, this is just what we're doing, and maybe you want to get out of the house at some point, right? If you're sitting at home, sick of being there. So hard to say.
We're speaking with Trace Savage, the editor-in-chief for NonDoc, which is an independent journalist outlet that covers Oklahoma politics. And Trace, you kind of briefly touched on how independents only had the 2 ballot measures to vote on. And you kind of, in our kind of pre-production interview, you were kind of briefly touching on this. How was it, like, due to like a clerical error, people weren't allowed to select which party to vote for in the primary elections? Could you talk about that a little bit?
Well, so the way Oklahoma's election law works is that each individual party has to make a decision as to whether independent voters or technically no party voters can vote in their primaries. And I want to say maybe 15 years ago, 12 years ago, something like that, the Democratic Party, which has lost registration, pretty significantly over the last, 2 decades plus, had decided to allow independents like myself to vote in their primaries. There was a chairman of the Democratic Party named John Waldron, who was also a state representative, and his administration, he was new as of the summer, his administration sometime last fall, I say summer 25, he they forgot that the party voted, the Central Committee voted to allow independents to vote. They did not fill out the paperwork. I think the election board even sent an email reminder. Nobody responded, and they missed the deadline. The chairman resigned. People thought that's why. It was not why. It turned out that he had taken a image of himself and a woman and turned it into a AI-generated sexualized GIF and sent it to her, but whatever. But neither here nor there. It shows you some of the drama going on in the Democratic Party here. Between factions, we can talk about that in the U.S. Senate race. So that is why independents were not, the clerical error is why independents were not voting in Democratic primary elections this year. And it sort of changed the electorate, right? I mean, it sort of made it, your traditional, hardcore Democrats. And I think a lot of those candidates, on the Democratic side, kind of flew blind going into June and August, wondering, like, not exactly knowing what that mix looks like, versus your people who you'd been targeting for the last 12 years, if you're a political strategist or consultant on the Democratic side. In terms of those two state questions, real quick, if you want to talk about them, state question 846 basically puts into the Constitution what is already in statute, which says you have to have a photo ID issued by the state or federal government or tribe to vote in Oklahoma elections. That's already the law. If that passes, it'll change nothing. It's sort of a red meat issue saying, oh, well, we can stop future legislatures from changing it, whatever. Wasn't going to happen. But state question 844 is a little more complicated and definitely has some impact. Basically, we have a state policy where at the state level, state tax dollars from myself in Oklahoma City would go to reimburse a rural county where a wind farm might go up, or a petroleum pipeline, or a data center, Google, data center that's already there. And so those reimbursements have really climbed over the last probably 20, 30 years. They've gone down a little bit here recently, but this question would be, do we allow the legislature to sort of put some new parameters around how that reimbursement model works so that it doesn't just keep going up and up, and standardizing it, right? We got 77 counties. We got all this populous history, local control. And so you have county assessors and, across, 20 miles apart valuing things differently. If my drilling rig is parked in Woodward County today, it's worth X. If I park it over in Blaine County, it's worth 1.5X, and you're sitting there going, how is it? So that has been a problem. And this state question is an effort to grant the legislature more authority to try to deal with some of that. I don't think it probably gets there, in that I think your average voter doesn't know what that is. He doesn't understand those details and is probably inclined to just vote no. But that would be my guess.
And I know another close race is the state superintendent of public instruction, Robert Franklin, going up against James Taylor. I'm hearing that they're really close in the polls, kind of neck and neck, and that they had a fairly contentious debate about a week ago. If you can kind of give us like a quick summary of what that race and what's that's about.
Yeah, sure. That's a really important race. We have a lot of decentralized power in Oklahoma. The governor has historically been a very weak governor. Only about 7 years ago did the legislature grant that governor power to hire and fire certain agency directors. In terms of the State Department of Education, the state superintendent position is an elected position statewide. They chair the State Board of Education. The governor appoints the other 6 positions on the state board. And the last election we had 4 years ago, I guess it was 2022, the Republican nominee and eventual winner was a guy named Ryan Walters, who people may remember from national gibbering and jabbering on Fox News about how much teachers unions stink. He resigned last October to run a sort of what he called a battle tank to take on teachers unions. And while he was there, he was pretty controversial. Part of the controversy was that he was clearly trying to position himself either to run for governor or join the Trump administration or something like that. And it really took. He was an educator himself, an award-winning educator. In fact, we knew students of his who loved him and then couldn't figure out what happened to him. He became this sort of hyper-partisan social culture warrior. And the question has been, is James Taylor, in that same mold? James Taylor is an African-American educator in Little Axe, Oklahoma, small community. He's a reverend. and he is strong, devout, what he would, I believe, refer to as a fundamentalist Christian. And some fundamentalist Christians wouldn't necessarily, might object to that notion, but taking him one of my good friends who gets annoyed when that term gets thrown around. But I say that is, he is. He'd run for Congress like 3 times, didn't have any money, and spent like $23,000 on his primary campaign, and partially because there were 7 candidates in the field, he came in second to Mr. Franklin, who got the race really late, who's sort of a career educator, worked at different levels, higher education, common education, all these sorts of things. And, it was sort of this, you wouldn't have thought this, right? There was the chairman of the Senate Education Committee was running. There was a prominent woman who was a state representative in education, former teacher who's running. They didn't make it. These 2 guys made it. And there's a lot of, I know we got to jump, but the gist of it is that Mr. Mr. Taylor has, had to try to convince folks that he's not the second coming of Ryan Walters. And Mr. Franklin has tried to convince folks that he's not a Democrat, which he was until about 3 or 4 years ago, and has posted a lot of, things critical of, Trump-ish, type things. And so, I think that's just a really interesting dynamic. Mr. Taylor has some very bizarre things he said in his book about how God has created every woman to be with some male, either a man or a God until man, et cetera, et cetera. That's a quote that I'm reading right now. But anyway, it's a fascinating race to watch. And Mr. Franklin's been on TV. Mr. Taylor has not. So that could be the dynamic. But Mr. Taylor has more of the grassroots, more hardline conservative Republican base.
Well, I know the polls are closing in just about 5 minutes here, so I know you got a busy night ahead of you. But before we let you go, I was so happy to stumble onto NonDoc while I was researching this election, and it just made me happy to see that there are people out there that are doing this on their own part, that are researching these stories and putting out news that you're not going to get from mainstream publications or people that have larger sort of publications or audiences. Give us kind of your description of NonDoc and why it's important to you, and how people can help your publication continue to put out this good work.
Yeah, thank you so much. So NonDoc is short for non-doctrine or non-doctrinaire. The idea a journalist is supposed to be open-minded. We stole it from a Walter Cronkite quote out of Playboy in the 70s, and his view was that being liberal in the true sense of the word is to have an open mind. Being left of center is a political dynamic, but having an open mind and not having preconceived notions when you go talk to people, whether they're a trans person or whether they're a petroleum driller, right? If you're a journalist, you need to be able to go and understand what that person's position is and understand their background and everything like that. So that's the basis, the sort of due north of how we try to operate. We're getting ready to embark upon our 11th birthday, and people can go to nondoc.com and they can click on our About page. They can click on our Writers Fund if they want to help us pay for our Mediterranean food that we've gotten for everybody here in the newsroom tonight. But we just love the idea that journalists are not as trusted as they used to be, and we want to be available in the public. We'll run a letter to the editor. We try to do a lot of transparency stuff, label things, commentary. One thing we've done, you mentioned it, we've sort of tried to repopularize the idea of public political debates. We've done more than 45 of those in the last 5, 6, 7 years. And, the idea that anymore you can spend a lot of money to be on TV, you can spend a lot of money to micro-target on social media or direct mail or anything like that. At the end of the day, if you're going to run for one of these important offices we're talking about, you should really be able to stand on a stage and in the public and answer some fair but firm questions from professional journalists. And for the most part, we've been able to do that. Mr. Mejia turned us down for a runoff debate. There's an insurance commissioner candidate who didn't want to do one this time around. People always want to do one until it's not in their best interest. They think they're in the lead, then they don't want to do it. So, but I appreciate your time, gentlemen. Hopefully we can do this another time. And if you're ever in Oklahoma, anybody listening, look us up, nondoc.com. We're glad to tell you we got people in Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Southeast Oklahoma, Southwest Oklahoma, trying to make independent journalism sustainable. So that's our goal.
Well, thank you so much, Trace, especially taking time out today to talk to us, too. We really appreciate that.
Absolutely. I'll try to think of more Simpsons quotes for the future. You guys have a good night, okay?
You too. Thank you. Well, now I've made the executive decision to have to wrap this up. I was supposed to take another break in there, but we got talking to Trace. It flew by.
Very informative.
Learned some important stuff about that state, and I really appreciate that he joined us today. Ken, you and Elliot tomorrow on Driving
I'll
Home.
be back, and I get to see you again next Tuesday.
Yes, next Tuesday, which we're going to be talking off the air about that show and planning that already for you guys. Jones back tomorrow. She's got Professor Stephen D. Schwinn, Randy Manner, the retired Army Major General, Susan Schad, and David Orr, former Cook County Clerk and Chicago Alderman. In the morning, Richard Chu is going to be joined in studio by Congresswoman Robin Kelly, and he's also going to talk to Nikki Budzinski, the Congresswoman, and regular Kurt Mullett joining Chu's Views at 6 o'clock in the morning. That's going to do it for us here. We've got to go. So long, everybody. Thank you so much to our guests, Kevin Schmidt, Paul Nally, Representative Diane Blair Sherlock, Trace Savage, who you just heard. Thank you, Lady B, Andy Miles, Jerry Wolski, Patty Vasquez, and everyone at WCPT. So long and good night.
Good night.
A message from Tia Mori, actress and Fair Celebrity Ambassador.
Game day isn't staged. It's lived. It's the shopping, the cooking, the laughter. For families managing food out.